Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. The Super Bowl hangover is in full effect, and Alka-Seltzer is running in short supply. So let the dulcet tones of two raging warriors cure all that ails you. Welcome back for episode 24 of the Unshackled Fury podcast, your uncensored home for all things Warcraft. And beside me, as always, is the man who has gone undefeated at every wing bowl he's held in his own castle. He is Navox. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. It's always fun recording, especially after the bullshit week I had. It's horrible.
You told me you were climbing neck deep into your truck. That never sounds good.
It's just one thing after another. You know how life just catches up with you at certain points in life, and you're like, oh man, the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's really just a freight train coming at you. And it's just like, oh man, yeah. So I had a long story short, just real quick. It was I had a washing machine die on me. Not really. Well, it started out with a dryer dying on me, and then I just decided that I don't think it died. I just think I had it pushed too close to the wall, so the dryer couldn't empty the air out, and it was throwing that. So I got that working, and then the washing machine started vibrating really, really badly, and I'm like, oh, that's off balance, and so we ordered a belt for that, and that didn't fix it. So it's always something else. It's not the easiest solution. And then my truck, oh my God. So I have a 2001 Nissan Frontier, and I've been very, very stubborn with this vehicle.
All paid off, right?
It's all paid off.
That's the thing.
It's all paid
now
off.
You're trapped.
It was a demo model they used. Nissan uses demo model to take it around and show off, this is the new version of the vehicle. It's coming out. It's got, it was a premium package. It's got all the bells and whistles on it. And I am the original owner after them demoing the vehicle. So my thought process has always been with these vehicles, drive it. I just drive my vehicle till it just is not drivable anymore. And then when I say it's not drivable anymore, I'll fix it. So I've been constantly repairing this thing. So it's just one thing after another. And I was neck deep in grease yesterday, and I've already gone too far off the rails at this point, but let's pull it back in. We've got Battle for Azeroth. You can go out there and pre-order it now, guys. So that was a nice little tidbit we got this week. It kind of made the week a little bit nicer there. So
see, when all else fails and life is falling apart, at least mechanically, you always have a little bit of Warcraft.
Exactly.
Sunlight break through the clouds of misery.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring us back in. All right. Well, like I said, we certainly have some Battle for Azeroth news. It was a big news week last few days. But as part of that, and as our first item of the day, it's time for us to jump into our rage portion. And something that I've raged on before, something we'll continue to rage on, I'm sure, for many years. So how about we jump into it?
Let's jump into it.
Let's rage. So this week, and we'll talk about this in more detail here in a bit, we had news coming out about Battle for Azeroth, specific pre-orders. But the one thing they still didn't talk about, the one thing they never talk about at this time, the one thing that people like me who have first world problems that they can't wait to complain about are the physical collector's editions. We have no idea where they are. We have no idea if they're doing them. If I want to have one of those, I have to buy the pre-order now and then basically pay for the game twice so I can get all of the cool unlocked stuff that we're going to talk about later. This is going to become an annual or a biannual rite of passage for me, where every 2 years I'm going to come on this show and I'm going to scream and holler about the fact that how in the world can the dream builders that are Blizzard not be able to come up with some convention where I can buy the game, do the digital pre-order, and then later on get my box with a code and then just overwrite the code from the pre-order with the code from the physical box.
Right.
I do not understand how after all these years, and this is why I love the midnight releases too, because then you got it at the same time as everybody else.
Right.
And it was great, and it was also fun just to see other people and to, commiserate about the game. But this is ridiculous at this point. And I understand that the people, like the portion of the player base that actually buys the physical collector's editions is probably pretty small at this point. Because let's be honest, you're paying $30 more. You're basically paying $100 for the game, all the in-game goodies, and then the extra stuff you get is the art book and a mouse pad and a couple of other free like Hearthstone packs. But I love all of that stuff. I can't get enough of it, and I can't understand why after all these years they have still not figured out a better way to do this. And those of us that want the physical collector's editions essentially have to wait for Amazon or somebody else to either drop it off at the house that day, or we have to go somewhere else and pick it. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Well, I just got to hand it to their marketing department. You have to think about it. I mean, because they've already got you hooked on the game, and you already want to jump in and play that content. So you're going to pay for whatever content's out at the moment. So like I went out there and I pre-purchased. I got the digital deluxe version.
Oh,
so
they got you.
They got me, and I also want to buy the collector's edition. Now, I think this will be the first collector's edition I'm going to purchase. But what I've been reading on the forums is in the past what they've done is, if you buy the collector's edition, they will not necessarily reimburse you for it, but they'll give you a code for a regular edition that you can give a friend. So you're buying it, and then they'll give you a code for that. Is that how that normally works? Is that, or am I speaking? Is that not?
No, you have it exactly right, and that's part of the thing that's ridiculous. And I said this 2 years ago when we talked about the Legion version of this, is that you're buying the game twice. Like, you're giving that code away. Like, that's not you getting reimbursed.
How else are you going to spread the drugs around, though, man? It's like, hey, just give it a try. Here you go. Here you go. You could try it, and you can quit any time, and you'll never quit. All those people on the forums going, I am quieting today. You're quieting today? When they really mean quitting? The rage is just there that they just don't spell check anything.
Listen, when you're raging, you don't have time for spell check, and I know. But that's the thing, is it to your point, they end up spinning this as a very, and again, you and I have said this time and again, we are unabashed Blizzard fanboys through and through. Yep. I mean, I bleed Blizzard blue. Don't ever doubt that. But the spin on this is essentially, you get a free copy of the game to get away. That's kind of where this ends up going.
Right,
but I mean, come on. I mean, you guys can do anything. This company can do anything as far as I'm concerned, because of everything that we've seen so far. They are magic makers, and something as simple as, codes, and I mean, because that's really what this boils down to is the version of the game or the game key or whatever we call it. It's not like there's a limit on those. You can make more numbers, letter combination of that length that they use to cover more copies than there are people on the earth times 10. I mean, I haven't crunched the numbers. I'm kind of making that one up, but I mean, that's how I feel about it anyway.
Right.
It just, I'll never get over this one. They have to figure this out.
They know what they're doing. They're gonna sell you the game and then sell it to you again because you want all the rest of the goodies. And it would be nice if they could partner with Amazon and be like, okay, look, you can just pre-order through Amazon and you will get the game the same day, because they've got really good with releasing the content now that you're basically downloading the game whether you like it or not. And the game's about 70 gigs now, according to the new PC specs they're putting out there. So you're basically downloading the game, and they just flip a switch and you're already in the content. Before you'd have to, install. I still have my Burning Crusade DVD that they sent me, and you had to install that and then wait, and not anymore. They just flip that switch and you're in and playing. So it's.
Is it wrong that I kind of miss those days?
Oh man, I do not. I love all the digital stuff. Let me tell you, I used to, I'm on board with the digital copies of everything. I'm not buying physical stuff. Well, I'll buy the Battle for Azeroth because it is physical, but
it's not the game. And,
it's not the
to
game,
your
right.
point, it's already loaded. You're just essentially entering a key at some point, so everything gets turned on.
Right. Yep.
So it's in there. All right. Well, I applaud you that you're bravely striking out and you're going to order the game a couple of times, I guess.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I am holding steadfast.
Okay.
I refuse to give in. If I can't play my Paladin, Draenei, Light, Sparkle, whatever, so be it.
You didn't pre-order then?
No.
Oh.
I'm a true believer in the collector's edition.
So you didn't get to see any of the fun stuff. So I won't even talk about it because I won't spoil it for you. So.
Oh no, we'll talk about it later because that's not the kind of spoiler I'm necessarily gonna shy away from. All right, well, that's where we fall on this issue. And Blizzard, I hope that someday you'll hear my lament and find a way so the 5 of us that still buy these physical collector's editions and depend on their existence will not get shafted out of the great content that people are already enjoying. All right, enough of that. Raged long enough. Let's jump into the news we are already talking about. So here we are. We're recording this technically on Sunday, the 4th of February. And as of, 5 days ago, Battle for Azeroth is now available for pre-order, as we have already discussed.
Yep.
Now, one piece of information that came out with this is not just the pre-sale, which is great. That's a good sign for everybody, right? The fact that the pre-sales are around. That means they've been going. We've had a feeling that, hey, looks like they're pretty far in the development here. What's the timeline we're looking at? Oh, bang! The thing even says, the expansion website says, that this game, this expansion, will release on or before September 21st of this year. Now, if you recall, you and I had thrown out some dates.
Yep.
At one point.
Yes, we did.
Where we had settled on was you had picked October the 18th.
Yes.
Close.
But
I went with September 25th.
You went with the Price is Right dollar. You're like, I'm picking the dollar.
If we went with the dollar, we both went over. It's the granny down the street that gets your new washing machine and dryer. So we were pretty close, though.
Yeah.
And again, I think that this really shows that Ian Hazzikostas, the rest of the Blizzard management there, are dedicated to getting this game out to us on a regular basis, to turning around patches every several months. This is now basically a 2-year life cycle for Legion in total. That's unheard of for us.
Right.
To be able to go that quickly.
Well, they're getting better at what they do. I
got to hand it to them. That really shows their commitment post Warlords to get the content to us quicker. I can't say enough about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as part of the pre-release, like we talked about, you can go ahead and pre-order now. There's a couple of options for you there. There's the straight game, just the game itself. You can order that. And with that, you do get early access to the allied races. And you now said that you had pre-ordered.
Yes.
And you are already experiencing some of this content?
Yes. So I did the pre-order and I logged in and I was thinking, okay, so what I really want to do more than anything else right now is level a Horde character. So I want to go level one of the new Horde characters, one of the new allied races. And when I logged in, I was disappointed because the race that I wanted to level is not available because I don't have a 110 Horde. I was like,
no, as you shouldn't. Oh, darn.
Yeah. Well, so what I did instead was I logged in my Alliance tune and unlocked both of the Lightforged Draenei, and I unlocked the Void Elves. And those are very, very fun little side quests that you get to do.
So how did they bring those into the game?
So how they brought them into the game is you'll log into the game and you'll go talk to King Anduin Wrynn, and then he says, hey, look, we're trying to reach out and get more allies. And then you've got the paladin and his high elf.
Turalion?
Thank you, Turalion. Yes, and
we'll get you there.
Yeah, I know. So they're both there, and he's in charge of you. You get to pick one or the other, and you can go, hey, look, I want to just unlock the Void Elves first. So you go through a quest line and do that. It's an instance, and then when you're done doing
Verisa?
What's that?
Is the Void Elves with Verisa?
Yes, it is. Thank you. So you'll go through that quest line and you unlock the Void Elves, and then you come back and then you go through and do the Lightforged Draenei. And I will say this: the Lightforged Draenei, the intro quest that you're doing, is a lot better for the Lightforged Draenei because you get this Draenei named Tepartos, and if Tepartos was around for everything, he would have killed all of the Legion to begin with, and he's a neat little character that you get to go experience things with over there. So now I'm, instead of leveling the two new races for the Alliance side, I'm leveling up a Blood Elf horde so I can try to unlock the High Mountain Tauren and the other elves over there. So,
and how far are you on that as we speak?
I'm level 10. I'm only level 10 at the moment because I am so, like, I love leveling tunes, but I saw Chris Metzen get his Warhorse on his Paladin, and I'm like, that's a cool mount. I have a 110 Paladin. I have access to a lot of Paladins. Lonnie from our raid leader who plays a Paladin, so I'm like, she's a great resource. I can tap in to see how to play a Paladin and how to do all this stuff. So she's been helping me out with that. So I want to get the Warhorse. So I ADD a lot with my characters when I level them up. I have a lot of characters that are still 109. They're not 110, and I'm just like, oh man, I just don't feel like leveling them. Let me go level up the quest line for my Paladin so I can get this Warhorse, because the Warhorse looks really, really cool. So between that and so I just don't have there's not enough time to level up all these tunes. But there's, you know what, for anybody going, WoW's dead, there's not enough content, I honestly don't know where you're coming from, because there's so much you can do in the game right now. Even though Legion's going on the 2-year mark, there's so much to do, and you'll never get all of it done, it seems like. So,
well, I know that part of that too was, I remember when Legion was early in its life cycle, and when you had just hit max level, I almost felt overwhelmed because there was just so much to do in so many different directions. And even now with world questing, I know that world questing at some point, I feel like everybody kind of gets burned out on that. My limit on that is very, very low, which is why I don't do a whole lot of it. But they don't really let that linger. And again, that goes back to how quickly they're releasing the next expansion. They're constantly trying to think of things. And right now, I think dumping out the allied races is a great way for them to say, here's a bump in content, and now it's going to get people leveling again, just like you are. It's going to get people interested in these particular allied races, see what we've been up to on the Battle for Azeroth side of the house. As somebody who lived through the end of Wrath, where I didn't think we would ever see another expansion, I still don't believe it. I still don't believe it.
I know. And it's, like I said before, they're just getting better and better at this, because they get to release some of the content early, and then you'll get the bulk of the content later on. I'm okay with doing releases like that. I'm actually excited about leveling up this, as strange as it sounds, I'm really excited about leveling up the Blood Elf to 60, skipping all BC, going right to ICC, or right to Northrend, and doing that content instead of doing Burning Crusade. Do a different route. I like the fact that they've changed a lot of this stuff. I like the fact that the game's evolving. I like that they don't forget about the old stuff. They're just trying to find ways to make it more enjoyable for the folks to pick and choose what they want to do in the game. And it's really nice. It's really the only video game I play anymore anyway. So, so for me, it's whatever they put in the game is golden. So
it's usually the way the mistress works. Well, and on top of that, not only do we have the allied races and some of that other content bump that kind of came, in the last month or two. Yeah. Or month or so. Here we are in February. We're looking at 7 more months or so until the next expansion drops. Somewhere between now and then, we're also going to get the pre-expansion patch, which always hits. Right. And based on kind of the little hints that we've been given so far, it does look like we're going to get a battle over the Azeroth, all the stuff that's going on in Daenerys. It sounds like there's a sea battle of some type that happens somewhere that's pretty momentous. And then we also have what's happening with Teldrassil.
Right.
We also have what's happening with Lordaeron. So there's you can feel that there's a huge chunk of story and lore and questing and all the good stuff that we do that's coming maybe in the pre-patch. That might not even happen after the expansion. That might all be stuff that loads us into Battle for Azeroth.
Right.
So that way when it hits, we're like, boom, we're two bulls charging head on, and here we go, we're doing our thing. So that, it's a good time. It's a good time to be a Warcraft player. I've been saying that since Legion dropped. I still believe it. This has been a good expansion. Just solid all around. And so let's get back. Battle for Azeroth news. Again, as part of the pre-order, and sort of to your point of, well, what do I do if I don't have a horde? Or if you're a horde, you don't have an alliance, it's 110, and you want to play all this stuff. Well, you do get a 110 boost.
Yep.
If you pre-order. So if you want to just go ahead and skip all the leveling and just jump straight to the end, there's a tune. Oh, hey, now your allied races are unlocked, assuming that you've met the criteria in terms of reputation and questing that are required for each of the 4 allied races. I think that's a pretty good deal.
I think I might do that because I'm sitting on 2 level 100 boosts and a 110 boost. I might just boost that warrior that I'm doing to 100, level up 10 levels instead of going through the rest of the content. But I kind of wanted to do the other stuff. But I'm a hoarder with that kind of stuff. I will hold on to level boosts for some ungodly reason. I will hold on to them just because I go and look at the price of them. I'm like $65 for a 110 boost at the moment. But yeah,
I still haven't used my 100. That's probably just going to sit there now. So those are the things that you get if you just pre-order the game, just by itself, standalone, just the game itself. But there's also the digital deluxe version, which is like collector's edition light.
That's what I got.
This is all the digital stuff. So you got access to the mounts.
Yep.
The
I do it for the
stallion mount
mounts.
for the alliance.
That's so beautiful. It's a great mount. It's a great looking mount. A lot of detail on it, like the moose mounts. I like regular looking animal mounts that have a lot of gear on them, and this is one of them. It's got a lantern on the back of it. It's got
Does it have signal blinkers?
Yeah. Yeah.
So for the alliance, we get the stallion mount.
Yeah.
For the horde, there's a Ravasor mount.
Yeah.
It look pretty cool.
Yeah, it does look really cool.
We also have Tottle, the baby Tortolan pet. So I know you do a lot of pet battling, so I'm sure that's going well. So that's all the stuff you have for Warcraft. But of course, because this is Blizzard and you have a bunch of extra games, there's also other stuff that they give us. There are voice lines, sprays, and icons for Overwatch, which I like Overwatch. I really do, but I don't really care about any of that.
Right.
I've never understood the whole spray thing, which that's what they're also giving for StarCraft as part of the digital deluxe or StarCraft 2 sprays, which I guess that's a thing, and that's cool if that's what you're about. For Hearthstone, there's an Azeroth card back that's coming, and for Heroes of the Storm, there's a Flamesaber mount, which does look pretty badass. Eventually, when poor sad me gets my physical collector's edition, I'll have all of these things. I'll enjoy the hell out of them. But do you find yourself using any of these fine digital deluxe products?
The Stallion. I love the Stallion, but other than that, I don't really, like I said, I don't play a lot of the other things like Overwatch or Hearthstone or StarCraft or Heroes even. I haven't played any of them. I just nothing against them. They're great games. I am enjoying WoW, and that's I like what I like, and I like playing WoW. So
that's what life's all about.
Yeah,
it's like I like what I like, and you do you, buddy. So this was all part of this announcement that Battle for Azeroth was now available for pre-order. This was all part of a developer Q&A that happened back on January 30th with Ian Hazzikostas and Josh Allen. So at that time, there wasn't just this announcement and, okay, now you can get the game and here's all the stuff that's happening. They actually talked about a lot of the things that are coming in Battle for Azeroth or some things that they're working on right now. And we pulled some notes on this to talk about some of the things we thought were of value or things that we thought were pretty good coming out of that. The first is the information that came out about the allied races At the time, they had not yet released the 4 extra character slots per account or per realm, or I can't remember how this thing exactly works. But this has now gone live. So it went live apparently the day after. So you now actually have 4 more character slots per realm, I believe, than you had before.
Yes.
Which means I can create 4 more warriors with cool names that I will never play, but I'm just saving them because I might use the name someday.
Exactly.
Which I finally did that, and we'll talk about this later because this comes into play later. They talked about how allied race unlocks and requirements are account wide, which I thought was probably a good idea. That if you've unlocked it on one toon, now you're good to go. This is part of your account now, is that you've made this level of achievement. As you brought up, and I think that people are going to be surprised, is the fact that you have to have a level 110 on each side. So there's not just the questing that's required for each individual allied race. There's the reputation gain that's required, or the reputation grind that's required for each one.
Yeah, but that transfers across faction, though. That's nice. The faction at least transfers over, which is great.
But you have to do all that. Plus, if you want to play Lightforged Draenei, or you want to play Void Elves, or you want to play High Mountain, you have to make sure that on the right side, you've also leveled somebody up to 110.
Yeah, so that 110 boost does come in handy if you just want to jump in and start, picking up one or the other. And I think that's, part of the reason why they did that as a release for us. So, here's a 110, you play Alliance or you play Horde, and you've done everything you can on your Alliance or Horde, and you want to experience the other side, you want to play something new, just boost a 110 and go do the quest, and then you've unlocked your character, so then you can go experience the Horde as a new allied race on there. So
I feel like there's going to be a backlash about this eventually, where people are going to be like, I just wanted to try a 110 and it was terrible, I want a refund.
Probably at some point. I'm sure there's
always that.
Yeah, there's always regret out there after you pick something you like. Just roll warrior and you won't be unhappy,
I think they call that a buyer's remorse, right?
Yeah.
You thought this thing was nice and shiny, and then 5 minutes later, you're like, well, I really wish I hadn't done this.
I know people who have contacted support over a name change. Like they paid for a name change, and then they contacted support to go, you know what, this name change, the name that I changed my toon name to is really bumming me out. It's making me depressed. And support just is like, yeah, here's another name change. Just go do it. And things like that. So I mean,
So if I changed my tune to McLovin,
yeah. So I imagine if you boosted a 110 and you're really, really unhappy with it, maybe you can contact support. Maybe they'll help you out. Who knows? So, but
I'll be curious to see if that happens.
Yeah.
So, also part of this Allied Races discussion of how to get them, the effect on your count, all that kind of stuff. They also talked about the philosophy of adding these allied races. And even before they announced what the official additions were going to be, I think this is something that we as players have talked about for years, is having like the Wild Hammer dwarves. I think that was a popular one I saw for many years. Or for us that are more of the warrior type, having like the Vrykul.
Yes.
Especially after Stormheim was opened up. I know I was looking at this with my friend that I play with as a warrior, and we were both like, why can't we play Vrykul? These guys are freaking awesome.
Right.
And even you and I, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, and some of the stuff that we've seen for Battle for Azeroth with the Kultirans, there's a bunch of those guys that look badass. And so it's kind of like, you can see that there's the potential down the road for more of these sub races, allied races, side races, foot races, whatever you want to call them. Eventually we'll get to that point where there may be some more customizable options. And with this, they've talked about, specifically with the ones that are available now, how it makes sense for those to join, the Horde or the Alliance, even though I understand that people are really pissed about the Suramar elves being part of the Horde.
Yeah.
That's fine. Whatever. That's how it goes. But they're also looking at, again, as time goes on, are there other ones that make sense to join in? They referenced unlocking other allied races, Draenor orcs.
Oh.
Zandalari.
Yeah.
Those ones. You can see, we're getting the Dark Iron dwarves at some point. all of that stuff. Again, it's the diversity of the game where I wonder, and I'm saying this out loud for the first time, is I wonder if games like Overwatch are starting to have a little bit of influence on Blizzard when it comes to the wide array of customizable options. Sort of the diversity of characters that you can play in the game is going to continue to increase over time.
Right.
I think this is something that they've indicated just based on the production that we've seen. It certainly seems to be something that they believe in.
I think it's good because you've got a wide player base and people, you know, as strange as it sounds, you associate with that avatar that you've created. You know, I associate with my human warrior. You know, he's, you know, it's what I imagine. Like when you know, going back to paper and pen Dungeons and Dragons, you would create a character and you would imagine what your character looks like. Well, when I log in a game and I log into Navox, I'm like, that's exactly what my guy would look like. However, I think he'd be a little more bulkier. He'd look more like the Kulturans and, you know, things like that. But, you know, so I like the fact that they are going with this, you know, this philosophy of a more diverse pool of races to pull from. Because especially like when I think back to Draenor and the way the orcs looked in Draenor, I'm like, hell yes, I would play an orc if I could look like that. I don't like the way they look right now, but I would play an orc if if you looked like the orcs in Draenor. I mean, they looked really, really cool, you know? And I saw on Wowhead they have the skinny humans. Have you seen this? Have you seen the skinny?
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
So if So if you're not able to, I guess if that becomes a playable thing, you know, if you're not happy with the way the human is and you're like, listen, I am not that big of a person. I like being a very, very tiny, thin person. Then you've got the thin human you can play and things like that. So it's now, I will say this. One thing that was cool that came out with the Void Elves, I don't know if you saw this, was the fact that you can actually do cross-faction dialogue with the Blood Elves.
What?
Yes. So
no.
Yes, the Blood Elves and the Void Elves are able to speak Thalassian. So what you do is you change your voice over to that. You change your language over that, and then you can communicate cross-faction.
Is this intended?
Yeah. And then if you want to switch it back so that everybody else can understand, you have to go back to common. But yeah,
and these are the Horde ones?
It's Horde, and it's the Alliance Void Elves and the Horde Blood Elves. They can change their language to Thalassian and speak back and forth with one another. It's kind of cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You always wonder if they're going to break down those faction barriers eventually.
We might see it after the battle for Azeroth. You never know.
Now, if you could pick any allied race, sub-race, whatever, that you've seen that you would want to play, do you have one that you would, or do you have one that you've never seen that you would add into the game that you could play?
No, I've just been very, very, I'm boring. I really like the human models. I like the humans because the humans don't have any magic power to them. Well, okay, let me dial it back because you have the priests and you have the mages and stuff like that. But I like, from a warrior standpoint, they're a mass, and you know, you're in it. I don't know how to explain it. It's very, very pure. That's why I can't play range class. I like being upfront and, you know, personal with everything that I'm destroying in that game. I like to just be right up in there. But if there's something that I could play, like, I really like the way the Kulturans looked. I like the fact that they're very, very bulky. I like the fact that they look very, very, you know, Norse-like. They're huge. Or the Vrykul. I like my character to sit just a little bit taller than other players, but without a tail. That's why I don't like the Draenei, you know. So
that's why I hit my Vrykul drinking horn as I can. Get a little bump. Beyond the allied races, they also talked about some PvP changes that are coming up. Do you, as the master of PvP on the Unshackled Fury podcast, do you care to discuss any PvP changes that you heard about? No,
I'm glad they addressed the solo queue, and I'm glad that they said that was like very unlikely, because for me, doing PvP is very much like raiding. I like the social interaction when I'm PvPing. I like getting a group together to go and do it. I like the fact that they said that we may do 6v6 at some point, or the rated battlegrounds. The team might move to a 6v6 because it works out well with the brawls, things like that. But what's nice about PvP, especially this late in the game of an expansion, well, over the course of an expansion, you do your raid, and you're just done. There comes a point when you're done blowing stuff up, and you're like, okay, well, we're all logged in. We're trying to figure out something to do. Let's go do some rated battlegrounds. Well, okay, great. Well, I can only bring, if I want to go PvP right now, I can do 3v3 and, we'll go and do it. Well, the other 3 people are like, well, I guess we're not going to be able to do something because our comp kind of sucks. Well, now you can put 6 people together and go and do something, which is really, really nice. I like the fact that they're also tying the Azeroth into that because there's going to be a lot of, PvP is going to be a big thing in this expansion. I really enjoyed what they did with PvP in Legion. I've PvP'd more in this expansion than any other expansion. Wow. And yeah, so the fact that they're talking about doing some sort of RTS style where you get to play a hero during one of the PvP scenarios, and it's kind of like, it's very, very much how the RTS Warcraft plays, where you play a hero and then you've got your troops with you and things like that. So it's, that's all sounds real interesting to me.
And those are the war fronts that they've talked about.
Yeah, the war fronts. Yeah.
See, and I know I've said this a couple of times, I am really not sure how this is going to work with our player base in real time, but I am so excited to see, one, how that can work, and 2, to actually do it, because it's something that is completely different than any of the gameplay that we've done in World of Warcraft. People that have played the old school RTS game certainly know it. If you've played StarCraft 2, you certainly know what this is like. And I don't really play against other people in StarCraft 2. I like just playing against the computer on various modes.
Right,
I can just screw around and have fun and not worry about, other people and what they're up to. But I love playing those kinds of games. I always have loved playing those kinds of games where you're building a base or doing a thing, and then you're building up an army and you're going out and attacking. I was, and still am, a huge fan of like the Total War series, which different in play style, but again, it's that kind of vibe where you have an area that you're building up and you're getting resources and you're doing your thing, and then you're either repelling attacks or you're going out and attacking.
Right.
That kind of dynamic, that gameplay, I mean, that's as old school as it gets in terms of both the real world and in game. And I don't think people ever get tired of that. So to finally bring that in to Warcraft as a PvP element, that might be the first time I'll have legitimately played anything or cared anything about PvP since probably Welfare Epics back in Burning Crusade.
I imagine it's going to play somewhat like you eventually, when you get to High Mountain, you'll do a lot of quests where you get to play as Hulan, and you're this Tauren, and you're running around and killing things as that other character. I think it'll be. I think it might be something similar to that too. So I mean, I think that's how I'm imagining it. Yeah, it could be a lot of fun, especially if they expand upon it at some point and you're like, okay, so now you're Arthas and you are trying to do something here with this, and you could do different, it could expand out and you would do different expansion scenarios.
Like Caverns of Time or something?
Exactly. It would be like, okay, so now you're playing as King Varian Wrynn and you've got to push back the horde of, this whole thing that they're doing with the war fronts doesn't have to be for Battle for Azeroth. They could expand upon it and do different scenarios across the different, expansions. And I think it'd be very, very interesting, especially if you're talking about the time walking scenario. So you could go back and they could go back and relive some of the moments that we're reading about in some of the books in the form of a battleground, because they talk about these great battles and the armies and the legions and things like that. So you can go back and do that in that kind of form. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this technology that they're bringing into the game is, what they're able to do with it, and see where it goes from there.
And there's 2 points about that I was just thinking about. One is we haven't seen anything in the Caverns of Time, I believe, since Dragon Souls.
Right.
So that concept of seeing whether it was the old Mount Hyjal or it was the old what was the one where Thrall was escaping from the keep? I mean, it's been so long I can't even remember.
No, that is because that they were talking about. What's funny about that is that I read about that's in the Arthas book.
Yes, it is.
So it's escaping me at the moment because I don't know why it's.
But you get my point.
I get yes.
We used to go down there all the
Yes.
time because there were raids or there were dungeons or there were whatever that they were important to us. But we haven't really spent any time down in there. I mean, it's now been a couple of expansions. So, but that concept, and maybe they've been reticent to go back and mess with time stuff because of people complaining about the retcon of Warlords of Draenor or whatever it was or wasn't. But the idea of staging classic battles from Warcraft lore and doing it in an RTS style, I think that idea has merit. And if, boy, now you really got my head spinning. Because think about it, because this is the second point that I was going to make, is that depending on how this works practically in the game, this probably required a lot of work on their part to develop some new tech to figure out how this is going to work in World of Warcraft.
Oh, yeah.
And typically you're not going to do all of that legwork and then just say, well, that was good for that one expansion and then now we're never going to use that again. So,
Yeah.
maybe this... All right, I'm putting this marker in the road. If at some point in the future Blizzard decides that they're going to do classic battles in an RTS style like the Warfronts, you heard it here first from Navox on Unshackled Fury that is an idea that they could do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that I haven't heard this mentioned anywhere else. That would be Now my head's like all spinning because I'm thinking about all the battles that would be great to see.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, all right, Nav. You're truly one of the dream makers now here too. So moving on, one of the things they also talked about in the Q&A were class changes, which everybody has their own personal stake in that game and playing the game. Okay, what are you doing to my spec now? And they'll talk about your class, but maybe not your spec. And you're like, what about me? What's going on? Oh, you're not letting me do anything new or cool. It sucks. But one of the things that they talked about, which in my mind, this is just going to be a battle that goes on as long as the game goes on, is the statement that was made that sometimes you should bring the player or the class and not the player, which is the opposite of what many of us have been running around with believing for the last several years, which is that their philosophy was to bring the player, not the class, which they talked about was misunderstood and has been misunderstood as a concept all of this time, which I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's what I heard them say. Now, I haven't gone back and checked transcripts and pulled up a sound bite, but I very clearly remember that being the sentiment, was that they didn't want raids or teams to be limited by class composition, and that it should be, well, if there's a little bit of homogeny out there, you can bring anyone you want and it shouldn't matter. Whereas now it sounds like they're saying, well, we're going to look at some things and say, what is the diversity across classes, maybe not specs, and we're going to design our encounters that way.
Right.
I mean, that to me, this seems like a fundamental shift, unless I'm totally missing something.
Well, I think they've already made that shift, actually, and we can see it in the latest raid. An example that I could bring up right now is if you're going through the mythic content and you get to the dogs portion, or you're working on the next boss, the mythic dog fight, where you have the two dogs. For a team to ask, you go in there with 30 people, and now you can only, you've got a bench, 10 of those people, because you can only bring 20 into mythic. Well, you could sit the warriors, because there's really nothing on there that we need for the fight, and it's really better if you have a lot of ranged for that fight, So I can see the shift already with the raids that are out there. It's going to make things a little bit more strategic with what you're doing with raids too. I mean, sure, you need to bring, like I said, maybe there's a melee heavy fight and you want to bring a lot of melee. Well, then you sit the ranged and things like that. But we're talking about, at this point, we're talking mythic content, because in doing our normals and heroic, you can bring whoever you want, and that is still bring the player, but I don't see anything else though I don't see anything in the current content or the content that's coming out that would, well, no, I take that back. I'm sorry. I don't know what's on, what's coming for us, but I think it's just mostly mythic content with the bring the class and bring that specific class and not the player and things like that. So the end thing is they want to make sure that everybody's tool set is special and has a purpose. And I think everybody wants to feel that, hey, I'm able to do this really, really well, and no other class can do what I can do. And that'll play a role, hopefully, so.
Well, one of the things that they did talk about in sort of the pushing back on the widely accepted idea that it was bring the player, not the class, was that this was prior to a time when they'd kind of rejiggered all of the specs and classes so that there wasn't as much raid utility across all of the classes was the point I think they were trying to make. And so where now they talked about how in Legion there was a lot of spec identity. So like, listen, they made individual artifacts for every single spec. That was in and of itself a pretty impressive feat. But it seems like now what they're going to do is they're going to pull back on that a little bit. And instead of going, okay, every individual spec, here you go. Now it's going to be more about what does a druid bring? What does a warrior bring?
Right.
What does a mage or a paladin or a death knight or whoever, what do they bring to the table as a class? And for me, I don't know. I like you know me. Fury through and through.
Right.
It could be the worst spec on the face of the earth, and I will still play it because I'm just slavish to it, really. But more than that, we love the class of warrior.
Yeah.
That is our thing.
Right.
That's what we gravitate towards. That's what we identify with. And there are people that like warlock is really my thing, and hunter is really my thing. And man, I love the whole rogue vibe. So anytime they talk about class strength or class abilities, I'm all about that. I love class identity. I'm not so big about spec all the time. So I'm glad to see that, again, they're still being mindful of that and looking at what does each class bring. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. We'll see what we get.
Yeah.
Now, we're still early on. We're going to see a bunch of iterations, but I'm still holding out that warriors will get pummel replaced with headbutt, and I will continue to advocate for that new ability for as long as I can.
We'll see heroic strike make a comeback at some point.
Oh, and if you folks have never seen the Heroic Strike website, I highly recommend it because it really does get to the core of every warrior and how we felt when that ability got screwed around with. One of the other things they talked about is kind of the last thing that I want to touch on for the Q&A was, again, diving into what our new collective resources is going to be, which is Azerite. And what they were saying about Azerite is that the Azerite armor that we're going to be utilizing in Battle for Azeroth is going to contain a lot of the previous abilities and tools that we had used in terms of racials, artifacts, set bonuses, all that stuff. It's going to go into the Azerite armor as a more of a complete system. And I always get a little nervous when I hear about stuff like this because I remember the days of reforging.
Yep.
I remember the days when I had to overcap on armor pen because of funky numbers that I never understood.
Right.
I remember back when I used to wear PvP gear in Burning Crusade because it's what itemized the best for Fury at the time. So whenever I hear that armor is going to be the one and only thing and there's going to be depth, complexity, and customization, to me, that always reads like, oh, crap, now I'm going to have to go get a third-party website to tell me what to do because, frankly, I'm too stupid to understand what I'm wearing or what I'm doing.
You and me both. That is one thing that I would hope at some point it would just get baked into the game to be like, hey, look, I don't have to go to a third-party site to figure out how to play my class to the best of its ability. I know that the third-party sites exist. I know that the theory crafters are out there working their asses off doing it. I appreciate everything that the theory crafters do to help us play this game in a fashion that we're able to play our characters somewhat well in order to kill the bosses. But Man, I would love it if something was in the game to be like, this is what you do, and this is the gear that you need, and here you go, and that's it. I don't think we're going to go back to reforging. I really hope we don't.
No.
I hope at some point we don't. We don't need to go back that route. That's something we don't need to do. Instead, though, I think they're getting a lot better with the fact that the armors, the items that are being created have the multiple stats on them. So, if it's a plate gear, then, all the plate classes can look at it, and there's always a useful stat on it for them. But yeah, I am behind you on that, where I don't want to deal with, I don't want to have to stop I don't want to have to leave my realm to go outside and go, okay, now I have to go look on Icy Veins or Wowhead or go check the Discord to see what the flavor of the rotation or spec we're doing today. So I don't know.
Yeah, I have to feel a little bit for the Blizzard folks, because having to balance a system as unwieldy as it seems like Warcraft can be with so many specs and classes.
Yeah.
I think that they're always trying to find a way to say, here is what you need to do, and then here's what you can do from there.
Yeah.
And they've tried and they've tried and they've tried to say, okay, here is a talent tree, or here is some other set of abilities or tools that you could use, and we want to find a way where you don't feel compelled to pick this one set of traits because you have to.
Right.
Instead, it's, here is your option A, here is your option B, here is your option C. You pick which one you like.
Yeah.
But unless they make every single ability or tool have the exact same impact, that just the flashy thingy looks different.
In the end, they're never going to make 100% of the player base happy, no matter what. So
no.
What they do over the course of the expansions and what they do over the course of different patches is they try things. They try to see what works and what doesn't work. And likely we're going to see something new come into play with this. It's to try it out. It's to see how it works. If it works, great. It'll get baked into the next expansion. I mean, if it doesn't work, it won't. There's always going to be tiers on the forum regarding that. There's always going to be
offerings to the salt god.
Exactly. Lore will be able to give more to the salt god, which is great. I love those Twitter posts.
I'm glad he's got a sense of humor about it, because I couldn't imagine the seat that they're in.
You have to, because I as much feedback as we are able to see on the forums, I can't imagine what kind of feedback they get in email every day, how many calls they get every day regarding this. I want to know who the manager is, and I want to talk to the manager about so and so because they hate us, and it's never the case, because they love warlocks. Warlocks keep getting buffed and whatnot. I'm just
you and the warlock, man. One last thing that they did talk about, which I thought was interesting, was the nexus between... So Titan Forging is still going to be around.
Yeah.
So weapons apparently will only Warforge, not Titan Forge, but there will still be Titan Forging for just about everything else.
They felt like the Titan Forge happens way too often currently. And it does. Like, you can get Titan Forge in like almost anything now. And I think they want to dial that back. But go ahead.
Well, and that's what it looks like they're doing, is because they've said that the Azerite armor slots will not Titan Forge or Warforge at all.
Okay.
So what you see is what you get with those.
That's good though too, because we'll be able to I don't know, if that's part of the gear that you're getting in a raid, you don't really have to worry about. You can just pass the armor along to somebody else. Because right now, what's happening in raids with people distributing, I don't know how other people's loot distribution happens, but like at some point when people get their items, you may want to try for a Titan Forge. So, random user 1 joins your raid group, but they're going up against somebody else who's already got the gear, and the other person's been raiding longer. So they're just like, I want that piece regardless of if it's an upgrade to this other person or not. And I don't know. I think it'll help out in the long run, but it'll stop people from trying to waste a loot token to try to spawn a Titan Forge piece of gear. Who knows? But
yeah, I know for us, we've been running personal loot.
Yeah. I love
entire expansion, I feel like, just so we avoid any loot drama. And, if you happen to get a doubled up item and then it's Titan Forged or whatever, hey, more power to you.
Yep. Yeah.
And that is one thing. I do feel like the loot drama that I've experienced has been zero in this expansion, which every expansion before, I feel like there was some bullshit going on about how are we divvying up the goods. And I think the personal loot thing has been fantastic because everybody on my team is getting geared up regularly. After my rant last episode about legendaries, I had another legendary drop. It was crap. I can't use it because, frankly, why do I need 2 more charges of Heroic Leap? But
you'll need it for the Mage Tower. You need that for the Mage Tower.
Need it for the Mage Tower?
When you go do the Mage Tower scenario on your arms, you're going to need that.
Yeah, but I don't live long enough, and I don't play arms.
Oh,
so.
You'll do it. You got to do it. It's fun.
It'll be the day before when I'm like 800 eye level. So I just overpower the thing because I stink. So, all right. Well, that's kind of our rundown of the Q&A. Obviously, there's a lot more information that came out about it. Those are just some of the things that we thought were of particular note. But if you want, go back. The video on demand is available on Blizzard's website. Check it out. See what else Ian Hazakostas and Lore Josh Allen had to say. A couple of more things before we go. One, and we'll try not to spoil too much here, but Battle for Azeroth, as we've discussed, seems to be full steam ahead, and there are alpha files that are now coming out. You can find them on both Wowhead, MMO Champion. There's other websites that have them too, even though some of them may be doing them a little illegitimately. I've seen some trouble with Icy Veins, perhaps doing something on a private server. So I'd be careful, but there's stuff out there. Tons of models for races, for animals, for items, for mounts, for bosses, for I mean, just a slew of stuff. But a couple of things that I thought were really cool. One, we finally saw Anduin's updated model.
Yeah.
Or at least what it is tentatively. And he's big and huge, and he's wearing the armor from the cinematic.
Right.
Which I thought was great. You saw Anduin's horse, which it's a pretty sweet horse.
Right.
It looks like it would be Anduin's horse with a bunch of stuff on it. We saw Jaina.
Yeah.
Which Jaina's definitely looking very angry and ready to kick some ass. Good for her.
Yep.
There's also Mom Jaina. I can't remember. Catherine Proudmore, I believe is her name. Yep. She was in there. But above all else, the one other thing that I will bring up is a bee mount is apparently coming. And it is the coolest freaking thing I think I've ever seen. And I never thought a bee mount would be the thing that I'd get. Like a bumblebee.
Yeah.
Would be I had never thought that would be something I'd get super excited about, but I saw that somebody tweeted it out, and I retweeted it out, and I was like, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers! This is the greatest thing ever." So, other than that, I don't know. Did you see anything else that really caught your eye?
Not a whole lot. I mean, there's every time Wowhead's been updating the stuff a lot, so I mean, I'm constantly going out there and looking at like the WoW model viewer, and they've got the male and female Cole Terran models out there, and that you could dress them up with a different armor and things like that. And I really want that to be a thing. Like I really want that to be a playable race, so I'm holding out hope that at some point that's going to be a playable race. And but the other thing is I'm also of the opinion, someone of me likes to be surprised about things out there. So while there's certain things I like to go out there and ruin for spoiler, sometimes I like spoilers, but sometimes I just want to just sit back. Like I'm not paying attention to the class changes because I don't want to go through the oh my god to the that's about right, to right back to oh my god again. I don't want to.
You don't need that pendulum swing in your life.
Exactly. Right now I got too much to worry about. That's one thing I don't need to worry about. The game's gonna be fine when it's released, and we're all gonna enjoy it. And everybody out there on the forums who's quieting will come back and play Battle for Azeroth, I'm sure. So.
Well, now, and you said that you had seen something about specs.
Oh, the PC specs. Yeah.
So what do you got on that?
Yeah, so I noticed that the minimal requirements. So for those of you out there that are dealing with some older hardware. So if you're dealing with an Intel Core Duo, the E8500 series, they're upping the minimal requirements to play the game. WoW's a much larger game now. So things you want to do like in advance to make sure that you're able to play the game is to just go out there and make sure that the minimal requirements that the PC that you have right now is running the minimal requirements to play the game. And make sure you have enough space because the game's going up to 70 gigs. 70 gigs, man. It's crazy because my WoW folder right now is at 60 gigs. And I think it's a lot of screenshots I have, but
yeah, me too.
I'm thinking I might have to format another SSD or get a 250 gig SSD to, just so that I have enough space. And I back my WoW stuff up to I have a WoW SSD and I have another SSD that I back WoW up to just, not that I need a backup of it. I don't want to be without it in case something, it's one, I make sure everything's backed up.
Well, and part of that too, and it's not super intensive in terms of a graphics card, but you should probably have a good one, and hopefully you can get a good one before the cryptocurrency guys buy them.
And you know what though, I noticed that. Okay, so WoW will play really, really like if you're looking to get like if you're wanting an EVGA card or a 1070 1080 card or something like that, and you're able to hold out a little bit longer. Just wait till this summer because the new model of cards are going to be coming out, and they might not be all that great for the mining scene. So we'll see. But if you need a card absolutely right now and you're having trouble finding it, my luck happened across something on Newegg. You just go out to Newegg and sign up for the auto notify. They'll notify you of a card coming in stock. Don't pay, like if you want a 1070 card or anything like that, I can tell you don't pay over like $450 for something like that. I mean, because it is tough to find a card. It's been weeks and I've been angry at Best Buy a number of times because I've gone in to buy a card right off the shelf and only to be laughed at, and the guy's like, "Oh, we don't have that in stock. Oh, you're dumb. You don't know. People are buying this stuff for Bitcoin." Okay, whatever. But back to what I was getting at because I went off the rails a little bit. A 1050 card or a 1060 card will play WoW just as good right now. So if you're gaming, if you're wanting a new card and you don't want to pay a lot of money for it, go with a 1050 1060 card. It'll play WoW fine. You can even go down to the minimal requirements for it is going up to an NVIDIA GT 5600 card. So I mean, anything after that, you're golden to play. So, or an AMD Radeon 7850 is going to be the low end cards. So
there you go. You heard it from the Unshackled Fury tech guy himself. One more thing in game, we have a holiday on right now.
Yeah,
Love is in the Air is back.
The Love Rocket holiday.
It runs from February 2nd to the 16th. And I'm not going to go into great detail here, but among other quests and items, you can go kill Apothecary Hummel. You go up in the dungeon, you go do your thing, kill him, and you have a chance to get one of arguably the greatest mounts in all of Warcraft, the Big Love Rocket, which I'm pretty sure is a wiener. I'm pretty sure that's what we're talking about here is hashtag Warcraft ween. So, last thing before we go, you and I got some reader mail.
Oh, wow.
Reader mail.
Okay.
And some questions for us. So here we go. This comes from our brother-in-arms, Rommel, on Air.
Oh, nice.
Who says, "Hello, fellow warriors. Episode 23 was a welcome return from the holidays. I was interested in your take on the leveling revamp. I know Berzerker keeps true to his original warrior for the most part, but I think Navox whores himself out to other classes on the side. For myself, I've played the game for over 10 years now and have leveled all the classes I care about, but I could see myself starting a new warrior just to see the zone stories again, and especially running through Northrend again for the nostalgia.
Hell yeah.
P.S. What exactly is mental nudity? Is it when I imagine Berzerker in nothing but a loincloth? To answer that question first, yes, it is. Hashtag loincloth. I think we've said this before. Yes, it is. Mental nudity is also when we did our erotic Warcraft fan fiction episode. Which, you never know when we'll talk about stuff like that on this show. And that's really where the mental nudity is. But yes, being a loincloth is right up the right alley there. So Nav, have you experienced any of the new leveling changes yet?
Yeah, like I said, I'm leveling a Blood Elf Warrior. I thought I was going to level a mage up. I started playing a mage, and I'm just like, no, this is just not for me. I like to level warriors, and I've been trying to level up multiple warriors at the same time. I've got another human warrior that I've been leveling up, so I stopped that to level a Blood Elf Warrior, and I really do like the leveling changes. It just you start off in arms now, and I don't recall this. Like I don't know. It's been a while since I've leveled up a toon from start, so I don't know when this all changed to where you just start off in arms. Has it always been that way? Because I am like drawing a blank at this, that you were just always arms. But I thought you could, like, when you started, I thought you could pick, I want to level as Prot or I want to level as Fury. But I know that Fury was always later on.
I think you get your specs at level 10, but it used to be, I mean, way back in the day, it used to be, for us, we had to get Berzerker stance back when we had stances.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was a whole quest to get that, so you weren't even anything until that, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, starting off in arms makes sense, because then at some point at level 10, I guess, you get that opened up and you decide, okay, well, what of these three do I want to be? And arms, I guess, maybe is just the safest choice. I don't know.
The one thing I did notice was that I do find it a little more enjoyable that I'm not constantly going out there to go, what's the quickest route to level at this point? Because I just go to the question mark. I go to the exclamation mark, and then I just do the quest. I go back to the question mark. So it's nice, especially if you haven't leveled a dwarf. The dwarf ones, actually, I enjoyed leveling a dwarf warrior up. So my favorite ones are human, dwarf, blood elf, and I haven't leveled a night elf warrior yet. But I think my plan of action is to level each different type of class as a warrior at some point, because I just can't. I don't know. I have trouble getting into these other classes. Like, I have a druid that's sitting at 109, halfway through 109, and I just can't get into it to finish that out. Or my
get it across the finish line, man.
Yeah, or the Death Knight, the same thing. Death Knight's another fun class to level. Paladin, though, oh my god, Paladin's a lot of fun to level. I will say that Paladin's a blast to level, But yeah. I like the mental nudity thing too. I was like, what is that? Is that like turning off the filter in your head and hearing those thoughts flow through? All the perverse reaches of the psyche. Like, I don't know. Is Disney World just a people trap operated by a mouse or something? Or
oh yeah, there's no boundaries here on this show.
Why did Yankee Doodle name the feather in his hat macaroni? Like, what the fuck?
Because he was insane.
Okay,
and would make a great guest for the show if we ever had guests. So, in response to this question, I did, in fact, level something. What? And to your point, I leveled a dwarf paladin.
There you go.
To level 20.
Wow. Okay.
And it only took me a little over 3 hours.
Did you use any heirlooms for that?
Of course I did.
Did you use your chauffeur for that?
Of course I did.
Oh, there you go.
And so what this tells me is that if you have an established toon and you're going through the new leveling changes, it's a breeze, because you pretty much have top-of-the-line gear that scales with you as you go. You have a mount that you get a mount now at level 20, essentially. You can start riding around. So as soon as I got that, you could just gear up on anything. But in keeping with the changes that they made in 7.3.5, I went through and I said, okay, I have not leveled a dwarf ever. I do remember going through Dunmorrow as a warrior, but I hadn't been through that area. I mean, it's been almost 10 years,
right?
Really, since I leveled through there. So going back now as a brand new with heirloom gear paladin dwarf, it was a blast. Yeah. I had so much fun going back to the old zones, kind of catching up on some of the changes that they've made. That was pretty fun, and it was a nice nostalgia rush. But to the point of the scaling of the leveling, it's so good.
Yeah.
Because you're just constantly getting the right amount of XP. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what quest you're on. You're getting just a huge chunk of XP every single step along the way, and you're just chugging out those levels. I mean, I took my time and I got to 20 in just a little over 3 hours. At one point I was getting distracted because my wife was asking me questions. So there was like a 5-minute conversation while I was sitting in an inn somewhere. And then I'm like, I'm going to go drive over here and just see what's going on with this area because I haven't been here in 10 years. And I took my sweet ass time. And it was great. So to answer our dear reader, I did level something, and I thought the leveling revamp was fantastic. And I will continue to probably pretend to level new characters all the time because these changes are great.
Yeah, and also they put the transmog in now for you can actually transmog. They made it so that you could transmog into other gear now, so you don't have to be. There's no level specific for the transmog. Like you can just transmog into your gear, so you can.
Oh,
so you can
so I can hide the fact that I'm
exactly.
I'm being
so
carried.
You can look kind of you can make your look a little bit better. But I think Rommel's got the right idea about running through Northrend again. I think it's weird that our main goal is to level up a tune just so that we can get back to Northrend. I mean that expansion. No, I get it. I agree with him. That expansion was just so.
Oh, so good.
It was so good. Yeah.
It really was good. All right. Well, you got one more thing.
I got one more thing regarding the WoW token and the stock market with the WoW token during the Battle for Azeroth release. So out there on Twitter, I saw Ro. Ro had posted that he was collecting tokens. Now I've never
Ro from Rel Maintenance.
Ro from Rel Maintenance, right? So I never did anything with the WoW token before, ever. Like I had no experience with it whatsoever. So I thought, okay, cool. So I'll go buy a WoW token for 170,000 gold, hold on to it, and then resell that WoW token. It doesn't work that way, guys. It doesn't work that way. Like when you buy the WoW token, you can take the token and put it in your Battle.net. You can turn it into Battle.net cash, and then you at that point you can then turn around and use that cash towards, Blizzard items in the store and things like that. So what happened was I actually went out there and I bought a token. And I was looking for gold. Like I wanted to get some extra gold out of the deal. That was my main thing about trying to flip this thing around. Yeah. So I ended up messing up the process entirely. So I ended up paying $4 actually on top of the Blizzard money that I got from the WoW token, and I ended up with another WoW token so that I could turn around and sell it on the auction house. Well,
they got you.
They got me, yeah. So I went out there and I'm like, God, this sucks. I felt like I got taken, this, that, and the other. And then I see a post out in our Discord channel for the CTR Discord channel. Slick Rock was saying, guys, hold on to your WoW tokens if you got any. So I sent him a message and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, well, listen. You just want to hold on to it, and if you're looking to make some gold, you can make some gold. I said, I'm not a smart man, and I sent him a Forrest Gump emoji because I didn't know what I was doing, because now I ended up with 2 tokens because I bought another token just to try to flip it and make some gold over. Well, he was very, very helpful. I got to give this guy a shout out because he's like, listen, just hold on to your token, wait to post it till 11 o'clock at night. I was like, okay, I'll wait. He's like, cause the token has not peaked yet. It was, we were watching it slowly go up and go up and go up. Well,
how does he know?
There's a website that you can go out there and look at the WoW token. It's a, if you just go out there and type in WoW token, I forget what it's called. I don't have the website. I should have wrote the website down. But you can go out there and type in the price. There's a website that keeps track of the WoW token. Well, he gave me a lot of advice. He was talking to me throughout the night, going, "Hey, listen, it's getting really close to the cap. You may want to go out there and post your things up." And I did, and I actually flipped them around. I ended up making close to 500,000 gold with the WoW tokens. So
holy smokes.
Yeah, so it was crazy. So a big shout out.
I can hit you up for a loan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He helped me out with that, and it was really cool of him to do it because I was raiding. He's like, and he shot me a message. He's like, "Hey, pay attention to this because it's gonna happen." And so big shout out to Slick Rock this week for that. So thanks, buddy.
He's also a longtime member of my raid team, and I can assure you that his grouchy exterior is just a cover for his grouchy interior. All right. Well, I think that does it for this episode. Other than this show, where can the good people find you on the internet now?
Well, I'm out there on Twitter at NAV_OX. I'm also on Twitch. I'll be streaming some of the Blood Elf leveling that I'm doing out there as well. So it's twitch.tv /Navox_. Oh, no, it's NAV_OX. So, yeah.
All right. As for me, you can always find me on Twitter at Berzerker Rage. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. And you can always find this show on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. So thank you for listening, and until next time, keep your swords wet and your banners high. Farewell, champions.